I'm Yin Brown for Accessible Media. We're here at CNIB for an official government announcement introducing photo ID for non-drivers in Ontario. First up the podium, Minister of Transportation, Ontario, Kathleen Wynne.
Thank you everyone for being here. I look around this room and I see advocates for an equitable society. So I am ecstatic to be here today to make this announcement. I'm unveiling Ontario's new photo identification card, the Ontario Photo Card for non-drivers today. And here's what it's going to look like. It's going to be a different color than the driver's license. It's a sort of mauve color, and it's going to have a cut-off corner, and the Ontario Canada in the upper right-hand corner will be raised so that you can feel that you've got the right card in your hand. The card will cost $35, and it will be valid for 5 years.
Minister of Transportation, Kathleen Wynne. Just a few questions. First of all, thank you for coming and congratulations on bringing the photo ID closer to reality for our audience, especially those who may not have internet access. Is there a number or other ways to find out how they can go about applying?
If they go to the Ministry of Transportation website or ask someone to call the Ministry of Transportation, tell us where they are, and we can tell them where the closest Service Ontario Centre is to get their photo ID card.
What were some of the process the government has taken to develop this card?
Well, the most important thing we did was we talked to people in the seniors community, in the disability community, and what we got to was they needed a simple card that would stand in for a driver's license if they didn't have a driver's license. That was really the message that we got.
This is a special day for Mr. Ruben Sippen, a longtime advocate for the photo ID in Ontario. Now, how long have you been advocating for this photo ID?
Since 1998, I lobbied the then Harris government, couldn't even get an interview with any of the people involved in the ministry. And then when the McGuinty government was first elected, the government finally passed the Photo Card Act in 2008. And that wasn't the end of it because we still didn't have the photo ID card. But it really pleases me now to see the card, and in fact have no regrets for the time and effort that I've spent. And this is one of my happiest days, I can tell you right now.
Also speaking is Susan Eng, Vice President of Advocacy, CARP.
Right after we got the invitation to appear here, we got, with the next phone call, a woman who was a CARP member who said, I was just at the bank and I couldn't get an account. And you will appreciate this, being a good feminist. I had to call my husband, who had a driver's license, to come down to the bank so I could open the account. It's a big problem because, as you rightly said, a matter of dignity, a matter of an opportunity to make sure that you have some independence, your rights, and so on. So I congratulate you also for acknowledging that and understanding that and how much of a difference this will make to Ontarians' lives.
Patty Skrypek, manager at the Ontario Ministry of Transportation. It was mentioned in the announcement that steps are being made to alert all the businesses and banks of this card. We are concerned about small businesses. What steps can be taken to alert them?
So what we're doing is we're writing to the major organizations like the LCBO, but we're also writing to organizations like the Retail Association of Canada, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, and organizations like that, so they can convey information about the photo card to their members.
Is there anything on each individual card that identifies it as belonging to Jane Doe, for example, with like Braille?
There is no Braille on the card. It just will have their name, their address. You can see the data elements here. We weren't able to do Braille, so it's information that's similar to a driver's license.
How would people apply for this card? Do they need 2 pieces of ID?
Great question. Where are our service center people? It's the same. It would be the same process as applying for a driver's license.
Carol Robertson, former president of Alliance for Equality of Blind Canadians.
We've worked for way over 20 years getting this started with petitions and things like that. And I was president for 9 years, and while I was president, we wrote to every minister in the whole province asking them about a driver's license. We got answers from maybe a quarter of them saying it's a no-brainer, it's something that should be done, but nothing was ever done about it. So we're absolutely delighted to see this.
Chris McLean, Director of Government Relations, Ontario, CNIB. How has CNIB been lobbying the government for this card?
We've been speaking with the different ministers of transportations. We've two different governments, conservative government, liberal government. And at one point, I think the most effective piece of advocacy that the groups did together was a petition. That was right before the legislation came out, which enabled this card. So whatever communications channels we have to get the news out, we'll be using those. And we're really conscious that the more people who use the card, the more successful the product will be, and that'll be good for everybody.
For Accessible Media, I'm Yin Brown in Toronto.